I'm not quite sure where we stopped the last lecture, the last part. We looked at the Sephora website, and you guys know, I'm sure, very well about all the benefits. But Sephora is an example of a really good loyalty program. So I hear about it from all my students every time I teach this class. Here are some steps. Testing is important, everybody. You get a direct, you can test, you can send your email to some part of the list and maybe test a couple of options with the offer. So test one feature at a time. And that's what you do. And then you roll it out. And even when you roll it out, you hold back some part of the email list to test another option, another subject line for the email, or another type of offer once you open the email. We've talked about LTV, lifetime value. I just want to come back to it as we talk about measurability. This is very important. And if you think about different types of products, different types of purchase, value of purchase, lifetime value can be pretty significant. Grocery stores for cars, lifetime value. And this is a sample calculation for figuring out how much to invest in media. It's usually media to acquire a new customer. So your here's the lifetime value, and this is your cost to acquire a customer. You've got some operating expenses to deduct from the purchases the customer's made, and here's the net margin per customer. And it looks like $30 to get a net margin of $144 is a pretty good deal. Okay. This is hard even for me to read. I don't think I can even read this in here. I'm hoping you can read it on your computers. Works fine in the classroom. Well, you can see that across the top, you see the current year, 1 year out and 2 years out. Remember, the lifetime values, we don't look at the whole life. We look at 3 years, just to be safe. And we see unsubscribers and undelivered emails and et cetera, et cetera. I'm trying to read this. And you see how many subscribers you get from your emails in the current year. And then you're going to, there's going to be some attrition. People who unsubscribe in the second year. So it's a smaller number of people in the second year that's from that first email blast that you did. And there's even smaller number of people the third year because you have unsubscribers and undeliverables, etc. And then at the end of the year, you see how many subscribers you have after all that. And you look at opens and clicks and sales per unique click. The off-email sales multiplier we have not talked about, but what it is we're actually going to get into it in our case study here in 800 Flowers in a minute. It's a fact that there are a number of people who will get and open an email that's an offer, yet not go ahead and click through to the site and purchase anything right then. But they may go back to it later. And so the email has prompted the purchase, but there's a delay between getting the email and the purchase. So some market, people paying for leads don't want to credit the off email multiplier, as you'll see in our case study, but it is a fact that it happens. And then there's the revenue from the emails. There's costs. You got your subscriber acquisition costs, email delivery costs. You see are very, very low. Database maintenance and other things. And so you get now. You also remember our work on present value, and there's a discount rate here. So the second year has a discount rate, and the third year has a bigger discount rate because of the time value of money. Something you're getting in 3 years is worth less than getting it today. You've got your net present value, and anyway, you get the email subscriber value, and you get some idea of the kind of calculations that are being made here. Okay, now we also talked the last time about finding our most valuable customers. And you remember we talked about recency, frequency, monetary, which is another type of customer to find and market to. And this means that you have a better chance of selling something to someone who's recently bought, who's bought a couple of times already and spent a fair amount of money. And you can use your transaction data to find those people. Then you want to run psychographic and demographic profiles against those segments, your MVCs and your RFMs, find out who they are so you can find more of them. And so you can market to them more effectively yourself. And you can also do surveys and get your own information rather than just finding external databases to query. Right? You tailor through your communications, your own communications, and then you guide your prospecting is to find more of those MVCs. And we talked about multivariate analysis. I'm bringing this up again just to kind of hammer the point home, if you will. If you look at this table here, this is trying to see a relationship between attending religious services, how often you attend religious services. Is there a relationship between age or gender? Does either one of those independent variables, age or gender, contribute to the dependent variable, which is how often you attend religious services? Right? So on the left you have men and women under 40, and on the right you have men and women 40 or older. And here you got about weekly, less often than weekly. Okay, and what do we see? Well, just eyeballing this, it looks as if there may be some relationship between age, because you see that older men and women both go more often to church, seemingly, than younger men and women. And we also see, on both sides, under 40 and over 40, women tend to go more often than men. So we would conclude from this that 40 and older women are MVCs. Okay. Boy, you know what? This is going to be complicated to explain. But the straight line that heads up there at an angle, 45-degree angle, is the dependent variable. The independent variables are the dots. And so what we don't know is, what is the x-axis and the y-axis, meaning what are the independent variables. But what we can see is that the example on the left, there's a correlation between the independent variables and the dependent variable. And on the right, that's random. I mean, they're not going along the line of the dependent variable. The direction of change. The dependent variables have nothing to do with the independent variable. So poor explanation. So sorry, that's the best I could do with that one. Okay, we've made this point many times, and now I'm going to stop, and then we're going to start up with talking about some experiences I've had at 800flowers.com.